Guru Sri Juta Padakamalang.
Hare Krishna, welcome to our channel Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, because we have it, Bhagavad-gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And my name is Labanga Latika. We are in the almost exact middle of the 8th chapter, Attaining the Supreme. And today we will start with text 16, which I feel is another one of those verses that if you like to have some verses that you know by heart, this you can put on the list as well. We've been hearing about how possible it is to attain the Supreme simply by remembering Krishna, by worshipping Him with love and the mind constantly engaged in remembering Him, which isn't always so easy because the mind goes wherever it wants to, but at the same time it is not technically difficult. We don't have to make yagyas with utensils of gold and qualified priests chanting mantras day and night. We don't have to fix the mind in silent meditation, and we don't have to perform gorgeous deity worship, which is also very costly and difficult, and especially we don't have to do that form of yoga where we turn inside and remove the consciousness from the outer senses to force it inwards to the soul and the super soul. We can in our daily life just add Krishna, and if we're able to do that have that loving attachment to Krishna, then we don't need anything more. So it's not always so easy because we're conditioned by this material world, but at the same time it is not always so difficult. So we heard about that a lot in this chapter, how possible it is to attain that spiritual platform. From having once attained it, we never return. Now we're hearing a little bit more on the negative side. We're hearing about this world. So I will read the Sanskrit. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartinordjuna mamupet Yattu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So, this is like the negative and the positive in one sentence. We don't always like to hear it like that. In this world, from the highest planet to the lowest, they are places of misery where repeated birth and death take place. So that's kind of a negative outlook, but it's also a realistic outlook. And especially when in the same breath, in the next very sentence, we hear that if you attain Krishna's abode, Krishna is the person speaking here, you never do have to take birth again. So it's how to say, it's not a very complicated concept, even if it's a little bit far away from how we generally look at this world. I'm reading the purport. All kinds of yogis, karma, jnana, hatha, etc., eventually have to attain devotional perfection in bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness before they can go to Krishna's transcendental abode and never return. Those who attain the highest material planets, the planets of the demigods, are again subjected to repeated birth and death. As persons on earth are elevated to higher planets, people on higher planets such as Brahmaloka, Chandraloka and Indraloka fall down to earth. The practice of sacrifice called Panchagini Vidya, recommended in the Chandogya Upanishad, enables one to attain Brahmaloka. But if on Brahmaloka one does not cultivate Krishna consciousness, then he must return to earth. Those who progress in Krishna consciousness on the higher planets are gradually elevated to higher and higher planets, and at the time of the universal devastation are transferred to the eternal spiritual kingdom. So we get a lot of concepts here in just a few sentences. So we hear of planets, and that's not so new. We know about planets. We look out in the night sky, or if we don't do that, we read about it in our whatever. Maybe we don't all study astronomy, but it's part of the general understanding of what the universe looks like. We are on the Earth planet, and there are a few other planets. Now we hear about Brahmaloka. That's not one of those planets that we are familiar with. But this universe, we've heard about it before, it's very vast, and it's a little difficult to grasp because it's most of it is quite far away. So we look out in the universe with the help of tools, of telescopes, etc. And then we measure the movements of the planets, and we apply some mathematics, what makes sense, because these bodies in the universe, they attract each other and so on. And we draw conclusions, and those conclusions, how to say, they are usually kind of right, but they don't necessarily get the whole picture. So if we can't find Brahmaloka by our studies and our experts' information, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not there. So the universe that we learn about from Krishna is the universe that he actually commissioned. He didn't build the universe, he gave the job over to Brahma, but it's according to his plan. It's done with his elements, intelligence, and so on. And there we have the highest, very highest planet is Brahmaloka, where Brahma lives, the first created human being in it. No, the first created living being in this universe. And then we have our Earth planets, and then there are planets in between. There are also lower planets. And according to our consciousness and our karma, we take birth on certain planets. And here we hear about the movement between the upper and middle planets. So by creating a certain karma, we can be allowed to take birth in one of the higher planets where life is a lot better. That's not what the Bhagavad-gita is recommending. That's not what we're recommending either. But that is part of the understanding of the universe. And by studying the universe a little deeper, we don't really have to go out in the universe. We can look at it on this planet also. When we're living in somewhere in the middle, then we're looking and we're seeing in some countries or in some parts of town, people are very poor and misfortunate, and we may feel quite relieved that we are not suffering like that. We also may feel, inspired to try to do something to help that situation. We can also look at other people that we may not meet daily, but our media and our celebrities who have a lifestyle that we can't even imagine. And then sometimes we see a person who transfers. They may win some money, or they may have gain a sudden inheritance or something, and they are transferred to that realm where money is just not even a consideration. And then they run out and they come back to the regular life. And it's very strange. But it's very similar to this idea. You gain some karma, you go to the heavenly planet, you run out of karma, you come back to this world. And if you study it with a little bit of a distance, with a little bit of a perspective, we can see that the same that is true on this planet is true on the other planet. We all take birth, and once we're born, we're going to die. And in this world, it's quite important to understand what is what, who we are, where we're going, because otherwise, how do we make our decisions? So here is another one of those, Abramapavana-loka, up to the Brahmaloka planet, down to all the other planets. We take birth and we die, we take birth and we die. And after a while, it gets tedious, it gets frustrating, it awakens the questions in the heart of the living entity. Who am I? Where am I going? What is the meaning of life? And then we pick up the Bhagavad-gita, and then Krishna says, those who attain to my abode, O son of Kunti, never take birth again. So that's what we want to draw from this. We don't want to draw the negative, because the negative, we don't need the Bhagavad-gita to see the negative in this world. We just need to wake up and look with sober eyes on reality. It's not that great. It's of course a miracle as well, whatever we look at. Now spring is coming in my part of the world, and from living in a place that mostly looks dead, I heard that story. Someone was coming and visiting from I don't remember where, somewhere much further south at least, and they came here and they landed in the airport, and they looked around and they asked their friends, why are all the trees dead? Because the trees didn't have any leaves. And we live in Sweden, we're used to it. In the winters the leaves fall away, and half the year the trees don't have any leaves, and we think it's normal. Of course it's not normal, it's like being dead half of the year. So we watch it, with some detachment, and we draw our conclusion that whatever is there, it's going to be gone. And whatever we try to do, we see that as well. We see people trying. We see on a political level, on a neighborhood level, on so many levels, trying to change the world. And it proves to be very difficult because it's a very entangling existence. We see things and we understand things in a logical sense, then we add a layer of karma, which is not so easy to see with the bare eye. We add a layer of understanding the nature of the spirit soul, and we step back a little bit and we try to see what Krishna is showing us, and then we're thinking, okay, so maybe there are other options, and that's the option Krishna is giving us. We are invited to attain his abode, and where we never take birth again. So that's what we're trying for here. Baladev Vidyabhushana, in his commentary on Bhagavad-gita, quotes this verse: Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte pratisanchare parasyante kritatmanaha pravishyanti parang padam. When there is devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotees, who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, are all transferred to the spiritual universe and to specific spiritual planets according to their desires. So again we come back to this fundament, the basis for everything. It's well, we can describe it from different angles, but one of them is desire. That desire which we carry with us, this will push us in a certain direction. It will, impel us into certain actions, and those actions in turn will bring a certain result in the form of karma. So therefore we want to go to the root cause. Desires. Karma is not the root cause. Karma is just a little bit of a result. We get entangled in karma, but Krishna can lift karma. But if the desire in our heart is to continue down that path, it's like, yes, we will bring in our poor smokers. Somebody smokes cigarettes and then they have some bronchitis, some problems with the lung and all of that. And even if they manage to rest for a while and take some medicines and get cured, if they continue with the smoking, it will come back again. So in the same way, if we continue with these material desires, we will again be drawn into this material world that is a place that is actually made for us to do this circling motions from activity to activity, birth to birth, and so on. So we want to go back to that root cause. We want to find that desire and understand how we actually can turn that desire back to Krishna in a spiritual sense. And that's what the Bhagavad-gita is helping us to do. Of course, we also have to have an interest in it. If we don't have an interest, we can read Bhagavad-gita day and night. It's not going to change very much. So that combination, we get the knowledge from Krishna, we get some realization from experience in this material world, and we get a desire to figure out who we really are, to realize who we really are. And from Bhagavad Gita we can understand who we really are is never separated from our relationship to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's where we're actually aiming in this life. In this human life we have this opportunity, and we want to take that opportunity. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.